Hi guys, so today I'm here to pick up my final check from Erewhon. For those of you guys that don't know, I literally applied at Erewhon because while I was in Sacramento, it kept popping up on my TikTok as like one of the best places to get a smoothie and best place to get groceries. So I'm going to school for business, innovation, entrepreneurship. So I decided to do my own research, get a job. They called me the next day and see if this is really considered one of the best places to get groceries. So I'm going to report back my findings, but this is the Erewhon that I worked at, and then I'm going to just go get my check. I'm actually here to get my check for working for 5 days. That was enough for me. So I'm gonna get my check, and then I'm gonna do videos, like a video series about my experience.
Guys, battery's on 40%. I only have 40 minutes to talk. So, hello everybody. If you are new here, my name is Candy. I recently have been doing a lot of content on Los Angeles. So I'm going to continue doing content, messing around with different videos titles to see like what the audience takes to. So the last video series that I did was moving to LA and how I moved to LA. Today, we're going to talk about me being employed at Erewhon. Excuse my laundry. You can watch the last two videos where I discuss how a lot of people don't create content because literally the environment that they're in. I love my home. I clean it every single day. However, I am not going to speed deep clean so I can film a video that I'm going to turn around and edit for 2 hours. So for me to dish out content, I have to literally not care. But I am going to drink an energy drink because it's been a day. I've been up since 8, filming and editing content. Literally just did this with my last content. I made a 30-minute video. I put timestamps for every single one of them. I'm in my Zoom. I'm going to be a household name by the end of this year. Now that that's done, I got a little minute intro. I like to give myself like 3 minutes to chat and let everybody know who I am, what I do. So before I moved to LA, I'm from Sacramento originally. So before I moved to LA, I was coming back and forth to LA twice a week for school. Loved it. I would fly in every Monday, Wednesday. I would get here at like 6. I would take Metro from the airport to my school at Santa Monica College. And then I would literally leave LA by 6, get to the airport by like 9, get home by like 10. Insane. I live my life like that kind of chaos. It keeps me going. So I was kind of forced to move here. But while I was traveling, I have a theory that your algorithm, like it shows you places around you, but like my algorithm would be kind of trippy because I would be in Sacramento and it would always show me stuff in LA. So while I was in Sacramento, it would show me this store called Erewhon. I didn't even know how to pronounce this place for a very long time. I'm like, Erewhon, like, what is this? So it kept coming up on my For You page, these smoothies that they have. They're like the most expensive smoothies. Little back history. I worked at Starbucks pretty much every position in total 10 years. So anytime I see a job, a coffee shop or a smoothie shop, I also worked at Jamba Juice. That was one of my first jobs as well. Anytime I work someplace, I literally compare them to those two places. I hate when people talk about Starbucks because it's almost disrespecting the fact that they invest so much into their employees to learn proper coffee knowledge. Like you don't have to like Starbucks in their prices, but like even after working at the most expensive grocery store in the world, it shows me why places like Starbucks will always be relevant. And it's because they invest your first 30 days into teaching you not just about coffee, but customer service as well. So I kept hearing about Erewhon. So when I got here, off of a fluke, I just like applied for a customer service position. They called me the same day. So I get an interview for the next day and I go in for my interview. I'll try to put in some videos too. I don't know how I want to edit it, but I will put in videos just kind of showcasing. Like when we came out here, Erewhon was like, oh my God, what is this place? Because we had seen it online so much. So we went and viewed the place. So I'll try and see if I can find a clip. Oh, this is going to be work to edit. I already know because I'm going to go between talking and the video. So we went, saw the location, saw the food and was like, okay, it's a pretty small store. It's not huge, so I can work here. Seems easy enough. So anyway, I agreed to the interview. And in the interview, I wanted to keep a customer service, but the lady interviewing me was like, oh my God, you should work in our Tonic bar. Well, the Tonic bar it's what pretty much everyone goes there for, the smoothies or the food, but mostly the smoothies, because they partner with a whole bunch of famous people to make these smoothies. which I've always thought was cool. But even back home, I'm like, how is this panning out? Is the famous person making the smoothie? Because again, back home, it's just showing who's made Hailey Bieber, Janae Aiko, Travis Scott. Like, it's showing them making the smoothie, but it's not really telling me if they're thinking of the recipes. Like, in my business brain needs to know these things. For those of you guys that don't know, I moved to LA so that I can build 10 businesses by 50. I don't know if I already said that. I say it in most videos, but I have to constantly say I moved to LA for a reason. So things like this, I do research, I do study, because I kind of want to know how this is supposed to be the best grocery store. You know, like, if you're the best, then I need to see why and how, and it needs to be like proven to me. So like, the prices need to be justified. Now, Erewhon's not, like, everything there is not expensive. Like, there were reasonably priced things. The smoothie was not reasonably priced, but I understand why it was priced what it was. And I will give you guys price breakdowns and stuff. So I get the interview and I get the job. I meet the manager for the Tonic area and I get the job. Immediately, we're going to talk about my pros and cons. I feel like it's just best that I talk about my pros and cons so that I just stay on track. So there were not many pros, unfortunately. The pros were the customers. So my first day, I saw Chris Rock, which is a really cool experience because I had just moved here. I literally moved here 4 weeks prior to even interviewing. So I got the interview pretty quick, pretty soon after moving here. If you need a job in LA, apply Erewhon. They're always opening, but they have really high turnover for the reasons that I'm about to share with you. So the customers are great. You do meet great customers. I hear horror stories about customers, but that's not my location. I was at Venice and I hear the Venice location is the most diverse. So I had a really good, it was a pretty good mix of customers at that location. Black, white, brown, Mexican, everybody was there. Everybody and their dogs. But I got to meet Chris Rock, which is really cool. I saw him a couple times, and then, because he would go to the Tonic bar, after a while, I just started talking to him. He was cool. The employees, you meet some really cool employees. I feel like everybody there is a product of LA. So everyone's there doing something artistically. They're just working their asses off at this job because it gives them hours. 3, the quality food. You are getting quality food there. So that's not you're not debating with that. I just feel like you're overpaying for that food. And we're going to talk about that in the cons. So now we're going to talk about the lovely list of cons. I don't know if I want to give you the history of Erewhon first or if I want to talk about the cons. Give me a second so I can figure out how I'm going to story tell. Okay, so I'm back. I think I'm going to just give you the history of Erewhon. That way you kind of fully understand what's going on. So this is all per Erewhon. These are all things that you can verify and find yourself. I don't think anyone's just chosen, I don't think anyone's connected the dots, and I feel like I have to. I'm a natural researcher. I have to figure out why things are the way they are. So Erewhon says they carry the finest organic and natural foods by supporting local growers, ethnic brands, and sustainable farming practices. We are here to be a service to the wellness seeker, to the innovator, to the community, to the ancient traditions, to the planet, and to you. Erewhon is more than just a grocery market. We're an independent and family-owned organic food purveyor and cafe. By supporting local growers, ethnic brands, and sustainable farming practices, we offer healthy, pure, and nutrient-rich foods and products available to all. Our exceptional service, unmatched education, and thriving community inspires people to eat better, eat less, and live longer. We do the research so you can shop with confidence. The vision. We believe that if we eat better, we feel better, which inspires us to make positive changes in our world by feeding ourselves well. We can impact our own lives and lives of the community and the entire planet. It lists the owners. The acronym that they like to live by is CARE, care, create a remarkable experience. They have a couple core values. Number 1 being their people. Their number 1 focus is the people. They are the strongest and brightest when they work together. They like to build strong teams. Second, their core values is their partners and brands. We aspire to bring the best that nature has to offer. 3, they protect the planet. They believe heavily in protecting the planet. 4, they believe in the nobility of service and the power of community to implement lasting change. And then education and knowledge. They believe that you should know what you're eating and be conscious about what it is that you eat. So they focus on teaching you that was something that I think is really cool. They do have people like actual doctors and actual people that study nutrition that can actually help you with the things that you need. So let me find their story. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Erewhon's story. They're often asked about their name. Erewhon is taken from a utopian novel, Erewhon, written by Samuel Butler in the 1800s. It's about a land where people are held responsible for their own health. Today, that seems much more appropriate than ever, it says. Erewhon's roots are in the macrobiotic movement of the 1960s. Macrobiotics, meaning large or long life, is a philosophy of living a balanced life, which includes a dietary regimen centered around whole grains, seaweeds, and vegetables, and based upon the force of nature referred to as yin and yang. In the 1960s, the two people, Micho and Aveline Cushy, macrobiotic teachers from Japan, they're the two people that started this entire brand, not the people that own it today. The people that own it today are who expanded it. That's what I was trying to say. The people who own it today expanded the brand quickly. These people created the brand. They were teachers from Japan and students of George Asawa, the founder of modern macrobiotic movement, formed study groups in New York and later Massachusetts. As the groups of students increased, the demand for macrobiotic products increased, and the Cushys began to import food from Japan, develop American organic farmers, and open retail shops to supply for their followers. In 1966, they opened their first macrobiotic and natural store in Boston called Erewhon. So Erewhon was opened in Boston, and it was opened in Boston by two individuals who was importing food from Japan, which I love cooking. I love the Asian culture. And one thing I have learned about that culture is they eat extremely healthy. Like every meal, there's like so many things that you have to pre-prep to put in that meal. So it did interest me when I got a job there learning this, because I already knew in that culture they're so healthy. So it was cool for me to find out. So now you know how Erewhon started. In 1969, Aveline established a study group in Los Angeles and soon after opened an Erewhon on Beverly Boulevard in West Hollywood. In May of 1991, the store moved to its present location in LA. For all these years, it's still family owned and operated. The Erewhon continues to grow, and Erewhon continues to grow. We now have many locations in Los Angeles and more locations planned. This vision to bring the Erewhon experience to more people belongs to Tony and Josephine Annecy, who purchased Erewhon in 2011. So I believe those are the people that I was under when I worked there. Since the late 1960s, Erewhon has been uncompromising in the commitment to provide foods and products that change the lives of our customers. Erewhon is more than a store. We are a community of people who are united in our love for pure products that protect the health and people on our planet. So that's Erewhon. That's where they came from. That's their history. It's super intentional. So that's one. Two, they're B Corp certified. That was something that was really, really big that they kept saying in my training when I worked there. B Corp certified, that means they care about a lot. The people, the planet, the environment, they care about everything. We want to preserve our mission as we continue to grow, and this certification provides the ultimate level of accountability. B Corps are businesses that meet the highest standard of social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability in order to balance profit and purpose. So for this video is going to be kind of like, because from a worker standpoint, it was not great, but from a business standpoint, I understand. So I'm going to kind of break this video up so I can explain everything from both perspectives. Okay, so now that you understand where Erewhon came from and all the things, we're going to jump right into my cons, because I just talked about my pros, and I'll go over them really quick because there was only three. The pros were the customers, the employees, and the quality of food. Now, the cons. Upon starting, and after I give you guys the cons, I'm going to give solutions as well, because who knows where this video is going to end up, one. And two, I do believe in holding businesses accountable to a certain degree. I do have an organization I want to kind of compare to Erewhon. That way it's not just me like throwing out ideas. Instead, it's like, you should do this because it worked for this person. So the first con was we had to pay for our own uniform. When we got hired there, I had to spend about $100 in clothes. They're very strict on the type of clothes that you wear. They do not provide an allowance. They do not provide anything outside of an apron and a cutting glove. If you lose that apron or cutting glove, the apron is $20 and the cutting glove is $10. So working for them, you're already in debt because you have to purchase literally everything up front to start, and they're very picky about what it is that you wear. That was something I did not agree with. Because they don't provide anything, they don't even provide you a t-shirt. So from my understanding, prior to me working there, they got away, because I'm in Tonic Bar, you make smoothies all day, you get dirty, So prior to me getting hired, I was told that they were allowed to wear like t-shirts, jeans, whatever. Then it kind of was like no holes. And then it was like no this. And then it was like no that. By the time I left, they were trying to get everyone to wear like collared shirts to make smoothies. So you can tell, the person that is in charge, and I just know this from working there, the person that's in charge of making smoothies does not have a barista history. They have a history of working at Erewhon since they switched over in 2011. They used to work in the Tonic Bar. They kind of just make up whatever they want. So I kind of felt that when I worked there, because the focus was on everything not important. It wasn't on, like, there were plenty of times in my training where the straight up ingredients and the recipes were incorrect, but they were focused on what we were wearing. If you're going to change our outfits, give everybody $100 gift card to go to Ross, because this is ridiculous. So yes, when you start working there, they make you buy your own uniform. They're very, very strict about it. They don't give you an allowance, and it's an upward of $100 because you're paying for jeans and shirt. And then if you work every day, which they do like to start people, which we will talk about on, they don't ease you into anything. They just like, it's just like work, So that's a lot of money to spend on a uniform with no help. And then to say, hey, and also if you guys lose this apron or this glove, you have to pay for another one. I make clothes for a living. So I know the aprons that they're getting us, they are so cheap. They're so cheap. They're not worth $20. I went to buy a sweatshirt. They don't give us discounts on sweatshirts. They wanted $60 for Gildan. Gildan is the cheapest brand that you could use to print clothing. They want us to pay $60 for a shirt that says Erewhon on it. And we're employees. Like, we're employed. They're like, wait till your discount kicks in. The discount doesn't kick in immediately. It's a lot. So I ended up asking, like, can I just make my own shirt? They're like, oh, we don't want you to do that. So you want us to pay $60 for a crew neck that says Erewhon that we can just use a Cricut for. You're not giving us a discount. They're rich also because they're taking money from their employees too. So there's a workaway around that. So I guess I should give the solutions as I give the con as well. Starbucks. You're not getting charged for an apron at Starbucks. The quality is amazing. You can even get your name embroidered. It's not costing Starbucks anything. It's not going to cost Erewhon anything to do the same thing, because as per literally everything, it's the most expensive grocery store in the world. They have the funds to do so. So offering your employees things like that, really, really important. Also, employees aren't paid anything over minimum wage. I think they're paid like $19 or $20. It's not much. It's like, and I walked into this as an experiment, so I wasn't really looking for pay. It was more so like, how is this the best grocery store in the world? Like, let's just see. But there are people that actually live off this wage. So to have to spend money, $100 on your uniform, and then when the higher ups feel like, we want to change it, buy some more. They don't give you a kickback or a discount on what you buy. You're just expected to change it, or you're written up. They have a point system for that. Like, it's truly not fair. So, but it makes sense how, as a business, they're able to operate and make money. If you're looking at it from like a capitalist perspective, they take advantage of their employees, and that's just that. There's no proper and dedicated training. Trainings aren't proofread. It's like school kind of having to figure it out. And it makes training like 10 times harder. So I'm going to keep referring back to Starbucks. When I went to Starbucks, you're not even allowed on the floor until you have 30 days of training. I was a manager there, and we wouldn't even allow someone to cook anything, warm up anything, make a drink until that 30 days is up. Sometimes 2 weeks, depending on how many hours I'm given to let you train. But you're allowed set aside time to train. I was told that I was going to get that, and I was not getting that. I was immediately thrown on the floor. Both of my trainers were god awful. They showed up 15 to 20 minutes late every training. They never knew they were training me. It was legitimately like a god awful experience. It was so bad that one day I came at 6 a.m. to train. My trainer didn't know she was training. By the time she got there, she didn't know what to train for me. So on my 10, I left. That is actually how I quit Erewhon, because it was so unorganized, and I was so disgusted that this is how a grocery store of this like caliber operates. So it is one of those places where people genuinely don't want to be there. And then my trainers kept complaining about not wanting to be there. So it's like, well, I don't want to be here if you don't want to be here, and I don't like have to be here. By that time, I had learned everything I wanted to know. So yeah, their training was bad. I would go over multiple recipes. There would be misspellings, or like the Hailey Bieber recipe that they have. When I was learning it, they straight up wrote it in my handbook incorrect, and I'm being tested on some of this stuff too. So in addition to me being hired, they got a new training program that they didn't proofread. So I'm taking trainings and I'm getting answers wrong, but they're right because no one proofread them. They had to call the higher ups. So like there were so many things that I had to deal with that were just so unorganized. It's just like, for you guys to advertise yourself as like the most expensive grocery store, you sure are the most unorganized place I have ever worked. And all of this is preventable if it wasn't so micromanaged. So at Starbucks, we had what was called a coffee passport. That coffee passport is probably still the same today. They might add stuff here and there because they grow the menu now. But when I was working there, you had the coffee recipes, where the bean came from. You're like taking a passport through a journey of coffee. And I feel like Erewhon could benefit off of something like that, where you're like taking a journey through the Tonic bar and learning all these drinks. Because in addition to all of this, they want you to learn like 20 drinks in less than 30 days, which is crazy because each drink has about 10 ingredients, which again is crazy because the average normal drink in a coffee shop has between 4 and 5 max ingredients. This place is just insane. And when they want you to move very quickly, it's just an unrealistic, and then they don't pay enough for what they're asking you to do. I would only know that because again, I've worked in this stuff for forever. So I know like this is just an unrealistic expectation, maybe for people who don't have money, but for people who are actually like, it's just unrealistic. So for people who are okay with that kind of like labor and not knowing their worth, I just know my worth. So I was kind of like, I guess. So that goes into my next con. The drinks were far too complex and unrealistic. I mean, there were some powders and proteins that were in there where I'm like, what even is this? I asked everyone on my shift, do you know how this benefits you? Have you tried this for collagen? There's like 5 different types of collagen. Have you tried this for 30 days to see if it works? No one can answer the question. So everything we're making, it's like this textbook answer of this is what it's supposed to do. But no one can really tell me if they've tried it. Is this something you guys have tried for 30 days so we can turn around and tell the customer like, hey, I know this works because I've tried it? No, because as we're making the food, like even in my training, this place was so cheap that we weren't allowed to sample the food we're making. They're like, if you take a sample, it'll be a couple sips, you can't share. And that's something I loved about Starbucks. Like, yeah, they don't want you eating their product, but like you're gonna be allowed to eat the stuff that you're giving the customer. You're gonna be allowed, like, it's just crazy to me that I'm making these drinks and they'd rather waste them than let me take them home or let us eat them. I found that to be crazy because how does a person learn your product if they can't try them? How can they recommend a product they don't know anything about because the smoothie costs $20? You know what I mean? It's just a poor business practice for me. So you only get 20% off. You only get 20% off. That's it. You can't combine any deals. You don't get any, like, the incentives to working there is literally just you get 20% off. I was really disgusted with that. If you're scheduled at 6 p.m., you can get 75% off, but at no point do you get anything free. That's what I do love about other food. Every other food place I've worked at, on your shift, you get free food. And I feel like that's the least you can do when you're paying people minimum wage. Like, if you're going to waste the food anyway, you're paying people minimum wage and you're overcharging for everything, least you can do is give people a meal. Paying minimum wage isn't enough. So when I worked there in the Tonic, there was way too much to memorize. You need at least 30 days to memorize. It's a very tedious menu. It's a very tedious, unrealistic. And what they wanted would be equivalent to like a master barista at Starbucks. They want you to, again, memorize. They have trade secrets, so I can't really share the ingredients to everything. But it's at least 10 ingredients in each drink. And then they want to test you like weekly. They don't have good systems in place. That's what I specialize in businesses, is creating proper systems so that employees don't feel like me. But they don't have good systems in place for you to retain these things. And then they want you to retain them fairly quickly as if you don't have a life. So I feel like that's just something they can work on. Of course, none of the CEOs have been in and tried to execute any of these drinks on their own. So we just had to deal with people who are like changing recipes, changing things without actually doing it themselves. So it's just creating a problem. And so you create unhappy employees, which is what I got when I was trained, because things are constantly changed. No one's properly trained, and the higher ups make recipes that they can't even make. So, and it just sucks. So it's just like, it's a really weird business practice. That's, yeah, recipes are ever changing and inconsistent. Like, I mean, just while I was there, 3 recipes were changed. And I'm like, oh my God, Starbucks would literally never call us and change a recipe. We would have to go through an extensive training period. There would have to be a reason. Like, I am so appreciative of the 10 years I did there because that set the tone and the standard for what quality coffee should be. If you want a quick coffee, Starbucks is the best place to go because we had adequate systems to get you in and out. You're getting a coffee in 3 minutes. Here, not only does it take forever to get the smoothie, the coffee, the tonic, it's a million different things in it. And I could assure you that nobody behind that bar could tell you what anything does because we're not allowed to try anything. So we couldn't really tell you how it benefits you. Only thing we could tell you is to buy it. But other than that, none of the people behind the bar can say, hey, this tastes like this tastes like that. And the menu's extensive. Like, there's a lot of stuff on their menu, and it's ridiculous. It's really, 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 really ridiculous. The only thing I did like was that the difference between Starbucks and here is that we didn't have to clean. So there was designated cleaners, but it was still hella chaotic back there. I said this before, the owners need to do an 8-hour shift in Tonic so they could stop changing the recipes. I told you recipes were changed. I was only there for like a week. The recipes were changed like 3 times by people who do not work there. So if your drink has tasted inconsistent, that is why. Recipes are ever changing and inconsistent. Lots of waste. They do not allow their employees to eat samples. You can get fired. I was so disgusted with that. Samples were something we constantly did at Starbucks because they wanted people to buy stuff. And really, from a business standpoint, you should always have a flexible budget where you're giving out stuff for free because that's just how business is. This place is so stingy, but I get, like, when your target customer is a millionaire or billionaire, you don't necessarily have to give anything away for free. So they don't have to not waste. They could waste all they want, but just I see it for what it is because I understand business, which I care more about making sure that I have retention with my employees. So that is a loss that I'm willing to take because I would be throwing out food anyway. Even though it's a tax write-off, I still would give it to my employees. So I understand why they waste food because ultimately they get money back. They could write all that off. It's corporate America, but it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like at Starbucks, we would just take it home. Shit, let people take it home and write it off anyway. Like, I don't fucking know, but like just having employees work 8-hour shifts because that's typically what they want you to work. Have a 30-minute lunch and then in that lunch, that was another thing. There was no real designated line for us. So we're spending our lunch waiting in line with customers. We had to share a bathroom with customers. Like, they really did not prioritize the comfort of their employees by no means. Which goes into my next point. Short breaks and lunch. 30-minute lunch for an 8-hour shift is crazy. And they wouldn't even be like, well, your lunch is at 1 and we see there's a long line. Like, you can't pre-order your food. You can't, like, it's really just not a good place. It's really not a good place to work if you're like, it's just a good place to be a consumer, but it's not a good place to work. There's no real proper training, but there are a lot of deadlines. So they would tell me, like, we want you to have everything memorized by end of week. Like, I want you to train me. I want you to show up. There wasn't one day where my trainer showed up on time, which is, I take all those as red flags. When you go into a job, you too should be interviewing them, just like you're on probation with them. I was. So after the 3rd time my designated trainer was late, I left because you don't appreciate my time, so I don't appreciate fucking yours. No real proper training, ever-changing uniform policy, hair nets. I didn't like the hair net. Again, I worked at Starbucks. We didn't need fucking hair nets. They're just focused on the wrong things, you know? Like, I like going to coffee shops where you could show personality, and I feel like at Erewhon, they were stripping the personality. Like, one person had a nose ring and it dropped in the blender. And so they said, no more nose rings. I've worked in coffee for 10 years. I've had a nose ring for 10 years. It's never dropped in the blender. Sometimes you have freak accidents like that. It wasn't served to a customer. It's literally just a freak accident, but it's not a reason to take away people's anatomy. Like, that's just so weird to me. So they were, oh, you might need to wear a hairnet. I'm not wearing a hairnet. And I had braids at the time, so they weren't knowledgeable in the fact that when Black people have their hair braided, it physically cannot shed. It's not capable. So I'm not wearing braids, and then in addition to that, a hairnet. Like, you're not paying me enough for this. You're worried about the wrong thing. Figure out how to make sure the menu's consistent. You know, you're prioritizing the wrong thing. You want us to study. They wanted me to study those recipes like I was studying for a college exam. No. You don't even pay me enough for this. You're not paying me to be an expert in coffee, and you're definitely not properly training me to be an expert in coffee. So I'm not going to go home and study anything, come back. What you designate for me at work to learn this stuff is what you're going to get. And if you want to test me and I fail over and over again, that's on you. They're too focused on expansion and not the quality of the store experience and the worker experience. That's just that. They're opening a million different locations. But my location, they were running around like chickens with their head cut off because nothing was organized. Among employees, they pay an upward. Among pay an upward for work attire. Oh, I already said that. We had to pay an upward of $60 to $100 for work attire. They upsell the employees $20 aprons, $10 gloves, and they're all required items. So they're making money from customers and employees. There's no dedicated, clean, quiet space for training. So in addition to having to train myself basically and also correct all the training that they gave me because no one proofread the training, there's no designated space for you to train. So you're training around a whole bunch of loud chaos BS. They're paying you minimum wage. No one's really helping you. No one shows up on time. It's just like whatever. There's no parking. So when I got hired at the Venice location, the parking was strictly for the customers. There was no parking for the employees, which is just like, what? So when I got hired, they're like, yeah, get to work early because you're going to have to find a place to park. I'm like, oh my God. So no parking. You have to share a bathroom with the guests, which I already said. Unnecessary information and training. So they're like training their baristas, their tonic bar people to be like nutritionists. That's pretty much what I gather. They're trying to walk that fine line between barista and nutritionist. So I hated it for that reason because I caught on really, really quick. It's very simple to make a coffee. It's very simple to make a tonic or a smoothie. But now once we start adding a million different proteins, they want us to know what these proteins do. Like there's literally, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It's like 30 different proteins and drops and ant this and deer that and collagen this. And they want you to memorize it and know what it does and know how it benefits you, all while not letting you use the product. So I find that to be just like a weird business practice because you could just eat the cost of letting your employees try your stuff so they can promote it. Like you could tell there's no women working in that office because a woman would have been saying that. It's ran by a whole bunch of men, but it's like, why strip everyone of everything? And yes, it sells itself because it's the most expensive store. But at the same time, you're going to consistently have high turnover because you treat employees like crap. And so this run of Erewhon being big and viral, I give it like 5 years before it's washed up. And there's like, people just don't like it anymore. They're on to the next. It would help longevity wise if you just took care of your employees because that would just help in the long run. Like in addition to being the most expensive, oh my God, they also treat their employees like really well. You know, I want to work there. I want to, but instead they're doing the opposite, which is like, it never lasts long. But yeah, shared bathroom with the guests is really weird. I always use the bathroom on the clock. And I feel like everyone should because there's no reason why we get a 30-minute lunch and then you come out and there's a long ass line. You have to pick between lunch and using the bathroom. Like it's ridiculous. They want us to have, knowledge on all these products, but no discount. There's zero work-life balance. So I told them I went to school 2 days, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I went to school go to school from 9 to, I think I said like 11, and they acted like, oh my God, can you work from 12 to 9? Oh my God, they want you to prioritize their schedule, their life, their this, their that, and like, no. So they will maximize those hours. They will take advantage of your free time. They don't care if you have kids. They don't care if you have a life. They don't give a damn. So if you don't want to have any balance, you just want to get to the money, I definitely feel like it's a good like kind of space holder job, but it's not a good long-term job. Nobody that I worked with there had been there long. It's like, it's very, very high turnover because they don't have good work-life balance. They require you to get an app. They expect you require you to get the Erewhon app so you can get your lunch that they don't give you a discount on. They require you to get another app so you can clock in and clock out. You have to clock in on this app. They expect you to have open availability 40 to 42 hours a week, and management is careless. So I just feel like any company that's rapidly expanding with imperfect systems in place is just a big fat red flag. Any company always hiring is a big fat red flag. I'll share some of the stuff that I made and did. I pretty much was there for my mission, which is to figure out why it was the most expensive grocery store, and I figured out why. This video should tell you why. It's because they treat their employees poorly. Like, they don't really have hella costs like that. To me, they're working with farmers. They're probably getting the produce at a very, very low rate. And then because they promote themselves as the most expensive, holistic, healthy store, they can hike those prices up to whatever they want. I don't think any of their hot food is worth what I'm paying. Their garlic noodles almost choked on, but I still like them. Their steak, same thing. It's just regular ass people cooking the food, the same. And everyone's predominantly Hispanic. So it's like, of course the food is going to be good. I don't think that Erewhon was any place that like I would... Sorry. I heard my door. But Erewhon's not any place that I would work. As far as support, I feel like it's one of those places that you go for healthy food. So if you're going for healthy food, yes, but like produce, you can get a food for less, or you could there's like always produce people everywhere around LA. But I would go for specific things. Like, I don't like any type of coconut milk, coconut anything, but they sell really good coconut milk and water there. Or if you want to get specific collagens for specific stuff, they have that there. So if you're going for specific things, sea moss, they have that there. Erewhon's great. But if you're looking to just like grocery shop, there's so many other places. Ralph's, food for less. I would just pick and choose what it is that you use and get. And then like, don't work there. I would not suggest working there because it is a place where they prioritize the customer coming first. That is something I did want to say. The customer comes first. Anytime you work someplace where the customer comes first, it's going to be an awful work environment. So that is the case there. The customer comes first. The average customer is like a millionaire that's rich and they live there. They go there. So is that what's on the lunch thing? Hold on. So Erewhon is a place that you only go if you're looking to get specific healthy things. I would suggest my dog working there. Just enjoy the experience of Erewhon, and that's it. So yes, I hope that answered everyone's questions. I was curious about the place. That's why I got a job there. I just didn't get a job like, oh my God, like it's my dream. Like it was more out of curiosity, and I'm glad I went because it kind of showed me how this business is able to be successful and how probably a lot of people out here are able to be successful. And it's literally just through this, like taking advantage of employees and making sure the target customer is rich. So thank you for being here. I hope you liked my little breakdown of Erewhon.